Time to take it to the dirt. This is Slingin Dirt, 1 hour of dirt track talk. Now, here are Ashley and David Stremme.
Hey, it's Tuesday. Welcome to Slingin Dirt. We're your hosts, Ashley and David Stremme. We have a lineup for you today, folks. We have your Knoxville Late Model Nationals winner, Jared Landers, joining us. Then we've got another guy y'all might know from the asphalt side of things. His name is Ron Hornaday. We'll have him on to talk about his endeavor with Diamond by Hornaday open wheel modifieds that he's building. And last but not least, we will have the owner of Dirt on Dirt, also dirtondirt.com, Michael Rigsby, joining us to talk a little bit about his business, what he's created, and a little bit about the whole pay-per-view thing, and of course, late model racing. We're so glad you tuned us in today. Sorry, y'all, my voice is a little scratchy from the weekend.
She had a bachelorette party.
We did. My girlfriend's getting married here soon, so we went out on the town in Ocean City, Maryland, and
she's marrying a mud bus driver.
She is marrying a
big
mud
block
bus
modified
driver
center
in the
steer.
middle of racing season.
Yeah, that's what you always hear me talk about. Who plans a wedding around race season? Well, they planned it right in the middle of Speed Week. So
yeah.
Anyways, Michael Rigsby, it's going to be interesting to talk to him because I think coming from an asphalt background, I've said all along that dirt is onto something with the internet providing of video feeds and stuff.
Pay-per-view? Mm-hmm.
I watched this weekend Deer Creek up at
the USMTS?
the USMTS race, which Jason Hughes had a phenomenal weekend. He ended up winning the championship.
Mm-hmm. And swept the weekend.
Which was $20,000. He swept the weekend, which I don't know if folks, if you haven't seen the video from Friday night's race with Brandon Davis and Duval and it was Rodney and Hughes. It was phenomenal. 4 wide. There were 4 cars running around, and Brandon Davis had it coming down to the white flag, and he runs over the fence. So, anyways, he ended up breaking a car. But I watched Saturday nights. It's a spectacle to watch. You know, them USMTS cars. So,
well, a huge congrats to Jason Hughes. He's the first guy in 17 years to sweep the Fall Jamboree.
It was, and he's, you know, I talked to Rodney Sanders, and I called Rodney because he had a 90-point lead going into a race.
Mm-hmm.
Gentleman wrecked him, and I don't know the whole thing. I kind of know both of them.
Is he really a gentleman since he wrecked him?
Listen, there's 2 sides every story, but anyways.
I didn't even see it. I don't even know what you're referring to.
So it took
busy.
Rodney's points out, but Rodney was, you know, like I thought he was going to win Saturday, and Hughes drove up there, and they had a caution late, and then he drove around him. So Jason was very on top of his game and very strong. And Jason Crone had a great interview. He said, look, it's racing. Rodney's got a strong career ahead of him. Mm-hmm. You move on. So, anyways, but Jason had a phenomenal weekend there. And then I was following Knoxville with the late models, and it was really, I'm pumped that Jared Landers ended up winning because I like to see different winners. I love Davenport. He had a heck of a race going on with Jimmy Owens. Chad Simpson, who won on Friday, he come out of nowhere and had a great run. So there was guys that had good showings, and then Josh Richards, he was on Jared there at the end, but Jared got up on the wheel, and I've said all along, if you go back to the World, Jared run really well at both Eldor races, and even when we've had him on the show, I said them long races he runs very well in. It's the short ones if we can get him a little better on. But he had a great showing there, but it was in the racing industry. There's a lot of big races, and I keep saying this, folks. They have the big weekends. Grab your camper, RV, whatever. Go and check them out. I mean, St. Louis Mod Mania. Mike Harris won on Saturday.
Your opportunity to get to these places is dwindling down. Not rare. It's dwindling down. We are in October now coming up, and the race season is
like this
short.
Weekend. We're going to head to Eldora. They have the big UMP Nationals. Mm-hmm. And what I like about Roger Slack and those guys at Eldora, and I tell people this all the time, go up there. It's free camping, free parking.
Is it really? I didn't even know that.
They put on a great show with they'll start at about 7 o'clock, and they'll get done about 11:30. And, of course, Tony, he has the bar up underneath the grandstands, and people can kind of enjoy themselves. But they do a tremendous job for up there for somebody to go and enjoy the weekend. And there's other races, too, coming up that are very entertaining. They're at Portsmouth with the, I don't know, the dirt track finals or it's something. You know,
well,
I get that in the world finals mixed up. Dirt track nationals or something. But anyways.
World championship.
That's it. There you go. But there's a lot of cool racing, and I know up where you're from in Central PA, there's a lot of big races coming up still that are a lot of fun to go to and relax and enjoy the fall weather.
Yeah, it's dwindling, so make sure you get out there because they always say, at this time of the season we're starting to get fed up with racing, but then
well, yeah, football and everything else, but
cabin fever sets in real quick. So.
I'm not fed up with racing. I'm good.
That's not what you said after Boone.
Well, man, I had to take a break there. That was too wild. But anyways, how about I also read Matt Maverick, who's going to step away from racing a little bit next year. I'm not sure if he's going to cut back his schedule or if he's going to end up, go and end up just retire. But he said his kids and everything's into athletes. I read that. But there's a lot of really cool cars, a lot of stuff there in St. Louis. They had great car counts in the mid-'80s. Gundakers did a great job. I talked to Billy, who crew chiefs Kenny Wallace's car.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked to Kenny, but they run, I think, they ran 6th or 5th, on Saturday in a big show, but they missed Friday. That showed how competitive it was. Schrader jumped in to Joey's car, who Joey used to crew chief Kenny on his dirt stuff. He run pretty good there Saturday. There's all kinds of good mod guys there.
Well, speaking of winning, Shane Clanton picked up the Rich Litz Memorial. Bobby Pierce, Jesse Stovall, Chris Madden. These names are repetitive, I feel,
Randy
every
Weaver.
week. Randy Weaver, Davenport, of course.
I didn't understand that Alabama. I didn't follow it along a lot. But
Alabama.
they had the Alabama Nationals, I think is what it was called, and Madden won, and Weaver. They must have had 4 or 5 races, and some of them must got rained out because I seen some during the day.
Well, in the mods.
I was hoping you had insight on that.
Sorry, I don't. Sorry, I just
My
know
notes
that
were. Yeah,
I was busy having a good time this weekend. I did
Yeah, I
not watch
understand that.
any racing whatsoever.
Folks, I told her I did watch you in a cup race, and I'm like, hey, hang on, I'm gonna see who's gonna make it on fuel mileage. She's like, I don't care.
That's asphalt racing. I don't care anything about
So
it.
anyways.
Mods, Billy Decker, Friesen. I feel like Dwayne Howard, he picked up the New Egypt All-Star Cup 50.
That was close to where you were at.
Yeah, kind of. Jacob Hawkins, he picked up the Renegades of Dirt Northern Championship, and a huge congratulations to our very own Derek Ramey.
Yep.
We had him on a few weeks ago. He picked up not only the Southern, but also the National Points Championship for the Renegades of Dirt,
And
so that's really cool.
What's really cool about it is folks, when you look at, I think he's run over 30 races or 40 races. It was him and his dad a lot of times in a pickup truck and a little trailer. It wasn't like they had a backup car, backup motor. They went to the racetrack with one car, and that was it. And they really, really went over a lot of mountains, literally heading north, but to pick up that championship, and it's well deserved for them. And I think it was awesome. Said a lot about their family there and what they've done.
Well, I think their story, I know they had a lot of trials and tribulations throughout the season. One of them, their truck broke down, and they had to take a taxi cab to get to the auto parts store.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool, and those are memories that you can't replace by anything. But
yeah. And he finished 3rd in the Northern Points, too, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, when you talk about Jacob Hawkins, I'd seen he had run a late model this weekend up at Legendary Hilltop. They had some races there in Ohio Valley, and I seen Kevin Morehouse won it Saturday at the Ohio Valley. I'm not sure in the modifieds. They said it was raining a little bit, but Tyler Evans, who drives one of our cars, he runs 2nd up at the Legendary Hilltop. I'm not sure who won there that night. Sorry, folks. I just seen a
Where are
little
your
update.
notes? Where are your notes, mister?
I'm putting a motor in. We're getting ready for Eldora. And I got to say this. I really feel for Davenport and Rumley and them. We talk about how they're not a big, organization as far as they got all these motors and cars and all this stuff. They do it, and everybody sees they made all this money, but it takes a lot of money. And he ended up, I know he broke a motor one night. I'm not sure what happened the second night, but it'll put a dent in the budget,
There's no doubt about that.
mean,
Trust me, I'm the one who cuts the checks around here.
Yeah, we heard a couple motors, and that's why we've been off a little bit. But so that's why I don't have notes. I got to get working.
I hear you. Well, fun fact, talking of notes, our fun fact this week is brought to you by none other than the Pope himself. I'm not kidding you. Bridgeport Speedway had to cancel 2 nights this weekend because of the Pope.
Why?
Because they had gridlocked Philadelphia and the different routes that you could take. So they had to cancel their championship weekend race and a
Pope
big
should come
paying
bless
race.
the track and then been all right.
Well, he has blessed some F1 drivers, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure about. I was reading it a little bit today. I don't know a whole lot about it, but yeah. So the Pope kind of screwed up Bridgeport Speedway's weekend, and now they have to reschedule and figure all that out. So,
folks, we ain't got enough time to talk about politics because I seen some stuff when I was watching the Pope. I was
where did we get into politics? All I was talking about is the Pope coming to America.
We have the guy that won Knoxville on, so we need to take a break.
We'll be back to talk to the Knoxville Nationals late model winner, Jared Landers. Keep it here on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Celebrate the 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season in style with a trip to Vegas and a new set of wheels. Enter for your chance to win a brand new 2016 Ford F-150, plus a VIP trip to NASCAR After the Lap, sponsored by Ford and Sprint. Thursday, December 3rd, see all 16 challengers in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup live at the Palms in Las Vegas for the ultimate driver tell-all. Enter today at NASCARAfterthelap.com.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
This is Slingin Dirt with the Stremmes. Our guest joining us now picked up the prestigious win at the famed Knoxville Late Model Nationals. It is Jared Landers. Welcome to the show, Jared.
Hey, how are you guys? Glad to be back.
We're glad to have you. And tell us what it's like to pick up the win at Knoxville Raceway.
Well, it's still hard to believe. I was looking for my first win of the season, pretty much. Actually, my second one, but my first Lucas win of the season, and I never expected to be there.
But you need to listen. You need to get excited.
Listen,
I've been like raving on you, and I said this before when we had you on the show. The big races, the long races, you were very strong. You know, I watch you at the World. You were good. There's been numerous races you've been fast, and when I was just following a little bit, I was watching another mod race, and I was keeping up with Knoxville, and I was like, damn, man, you're driving the wheels off that thing, and I loved it. So congrats. I was so happy. But what'd you think with Josh running with him there?
Well, Josh, if it wasn't for Josh, I think Jimmy and I was in second there with Jimmy. I thought I might be better than Jimmy, but I didn't know where I was going to pass him at because we're pretty much running the same line. I don't know if I just sat in and followed him and just kind of paced myself. And then when Josh, I think it was around lap 25. It was lap 25 or 25 left to go or whatever.
Yeah.
Josh, a car passed me on the top. I kept seeing one on the board. I was like, who's this one? Because Josh hasn't been running, as good lately as he normally does. And especially during that week, he finally pulled out another car and went out there and went to running. And I seen the one car. It didn't surprise me when I seen who it was. I was like, oh, okay, he's up there getting it. Now it's time. The game has changed just now because, I was trying to conserve stuff, and our motors are running warmer in that place because it's just fast.
Yeah. And
it wasn't time to me, as I was thinking, I was like, I don't have 25 laps in this car, without melting the motor down or something. So when he came up there, I was like, well, if I'm going to plan on running up here, I better stay with him. So he taught me he taught me how to run the top. I watched him. He got there and he picked up all of our, I'm sure we picked up lap time as soon as he came up there. So then it showed who had a good car at fast speed. So I was glad to be the one to show it.
No, it was, I loved it. I seen the highlights, and I was like, you're down there sliding, beating off that cushion. You're just, you can say you had the fast car. Listen, you got up on the wheel. You could tell you wanted it. And what I got to ask you, though, what did Mark Martin have to say? You talked to him?
Oh, yeah. He's excited. I forgot the text he just sent me. He said, he says, I saw where you finally waited, and I saw where you decided to pick up the speed. And it was like lap 12. It was about lap 12, I think, before I really run it through there, pretty much wide open.
Yeah.
And he says you managed the race car, you managed everything, you did what you're supposed to. That's how you win the big race.
Yep.
That's awesome. You talked about a little bit about your engines overheating, but trying to keep up with Josh. Is the risk versus reward worth it?
Well, within 12 to go, yes. I quit looking at my gauges. I was like, oh, whatever happens, happens. And I made a few charges, and I realized my car was actually faster than I was giving it, at the time. And I gained some ground on Jimmy really fast through 1 and 2. And then Josh, as soon as I got by Jimmy, Josh came to me pretty fast. But it was definitely not worth looking at the gauge at the time.
You know
so,
what?
Yeah, it was time to win a race.
You could help me with this, Jared. I've watched, and it's amazing at the pace that the late models are running. Like, you look at the World 100, you look at out there in Knoxville. What do you contribute to a lot of that? Is it just everybody keeps pushing everybody, or is it anything they found? What do you see there?
Cars are getting faster. Drivers that are winning races now have to be pushed. I mean, you got Davenport who's pushing us all hard. He drives hard about every race. Then, you got Scott who knows when to push and when not to, and he's finally got his, turned his program around, and he's pushing the car hard. So everybody's driving harder, but yet you also got to think about the tires and what track you're on, and if that tire, if it's rough on tires to go this fast, and some of this right now the tires seem like they're holding up at our higher speed because obviously Jonathan showed us. Do you think,
with that being said, I look at, there's a couple, and you have I wouldn't say old school guys because they're very, very up on technology, but you have the older drivers, veteran drivers, and you have I consider you a younger guy, you, Jonathan, Mikey Marler. I look at some of these guys, and do you think the younger generation is pushing it and making it, because them guys used to just ride around and all of a sudden they'd go.
Yeah, you can't ride around anymore, it doesn't seem like. You'll see like Scott and sometimes Jimmy gets out front and they'll slow the pace down because just because they know what it takes to win the race. Now you can't do that anymore because somebody's going to find a way to get around you, and then they can go out there and slow the pace down. So, I mean, you've got to drive hard anymore. Yep. The driver, it's picked up in the seat.
Well, I want to ask because this night, this win could have all went down the tubes real quick. If I read correctly, your seat belts came undone at like lap 5.
Yes, and that it was probably lap 3. It was the longest ride of my life. I think it was. I'm sitting here, and I'm in position to be able to win this race. Top 10 or whatever, top 5, 7, whatever I was at. But I went through the humps of the backstretch, and all of a sudden they snapped loose. I'm like, what's going? I didn't know what was going on for a minute. I'm like, so I'm trying to. I mean, at a high rate of speed where you don't want to let go of the steering wheel. You want 2 hands on the wheel at this racetrack. So I'm popping it with my other hand trying to push it down. And I realized it was just coming completely apart.
Oh God!
So it has started flopping in the seats. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I'm looking for laps. I'm looking at the end. I quit running hard. I pulled to the bottom of the racetrack and just like rolled around there as low as I could go. I was like, all I can think about. I normally don't think nothing about the racetrack. When I was sitting there, I'm like, I got kids at home. This is worth it. Because there's no way that if I wreck right now, there's no way you can get out of this without hurting yourself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there praying for a caution. I mean, I'm like, as I'm going down the straightaway, these cars with the movement they get now, you don't realize what you're doing in that car without seatbelts on. Because I don't think many people go that fast. I'm floating in the seat, and I'm like hunched over in the seat because I can't hold myself up. I'm like, this is fixed to be a bad deal. And I was like, just do not get on that berm on the infield and get sideways. So I'm sitting here like trying to keep far from it, but I'm trying to
stay out of the way.
Just stay out of the way. I said, if anybody comes up and races with me, they're going by me. I'm not going to. And if I felt anybody touch me from the rear, push me, I was going in and pulling in. But at the same time, I was fixing to pull in. I looked in the infield. there's a car up on the berm. I'm like, oh, thank the Lord, I got a caution. So I look back, makes like I'd never seen a caution. I was like, come on, where's this caution? Come back, the car's not there. I'm like, maybe what's happening? So then another car, I see it there roll. They're all pulling in the pits, but they get on the berm and they drive in the pits. So I'm like, they're the only reasons I stayed out there any longer. And then there's a caution. I don't know what lap it was, 18 or something, but it was the craziest thing, and it was everything I could to keep from pulling in.
That's wild.
Well, that's still impressive that you were able to get them hooked back together with your gloves, helmet, everything. I'm sure you have a Hans of some sort on, trying to get it all put together and snap back to go racing before it went green again.
Well, luckily I went to turn 4, which they've got a official down there, and I said, I took my gloves off. I said, my seatbelt. He tried to help me, because, I mean, they didn't put me to the rear, luckily.
Yeah.
But I was like, my seatbelt has came off. So he went and told everybody, so they realized what was happening. And my crew guy, Jason, and Shane McDowell were sitting there talking. And he goes, they were talking. They were telling me after the race. I said, I just went to talk to him about, he said, Jason looked at Shane and says, I told him to make sure the pace is slowed down. Don't overwork it. He goes, but I didn't tell him to run. He goes, I was over there screaming the whole time. I said, I was not looking at you. He goes, I was trying to pick your pace up. You're going too slow. Yeah, if you knew what I had going on, you'd have been in the infield.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. I've had that happen at Daytona, and luckily it was the type of system I had. We were able to click it back, but it makes a lot of things go through your head that you never would think about.
That is I'm like, when I turn over, the best thing that could happen if I wreck is get shoved up under the dash. I said, I hope I go forward.
How about working with Bloomer there? It's been, all year kind of going. What's some of the things he's helped you on and so forth?
Well, he's helped me a lot. I mean, he doesn't mind griping at me. He doesn't mind telling me what I do wrong. And he tells me what it takes to win these races. And I mean, more than anything, he's helped me have somebody really talk to about what I need to feel in a race car. And I'm still looking for a totally different feel than what I have. But it's hard for me to go wrong off a guy that's winning races right in front of me. I can run the same race car as him and not do as good as he does. I mean, it's just there's a lot of things a driver should do that I never was thinking about doing. On the seat, as far as how you manipulate your car to get to work, and that my car's not good. I need to wait for a little bit longer to pick the fuel up. There's just ways that I watch him fix his race car in the seat, and that's what makes a good driver out of somebody. And I can't do it every time I go out there.
What do you? I mean, when I think of you, you're pretty laid back, and he is when I've got to talk to him, he is so intense, and it's like racing nonstop. Is there a good balance there with you guys? I mean, to where, he gets you thinking about maybe different things and so forth?
Oh, yeah, he does. I mean, we get to think about a lot of things and trying to get our cars better. And sometimes I think we talk together and I pop up stuff that he knows about everything. But he knows so much about the stuff and everything he thinks of. Sometimes he misses some of the things that he has done to make his car better in the past. And,
yep.
and I'll kind of mention something to him, and he'll look, and he'll be like, that's on some small little things that is so small you wouldn't think about, that it's some little small change that would help all of our stuff. And same, my crew guy. I mean, it's a good package because he definitely is the brain behind the whole deal, and he can change things to make me so much better in the car. But him watching me and me running good at times, he realizes he'll run a different setup and sometimes, and we'll either go to my package or his package by the end of the night. So, but yeah, like I said, he's intense, as I've ever seen anybody about racing. And the reason he's as good as he is and hasn't fell off is because he's diehard and wants it bad.
He reminds me a lot of Mark as far as the intensity level of racing. Like Mark Martin, I tell people this all the time. We're never going to see a driver that had a career as long as Mark. And Mark, he'd say, hey, I'm going to retire. Then he gets in a Hendrick car. He sits on poles, wins races. And they're like, how is that? And I'm like, that guy is so intense. And that drive in him, and you see that with Scott. And and we've seen it this year. He got on that big roll and he just went to work. And it's like, to me, in your shoes, you got a great teammate because you can bounce a lot off of. But he also has a great teammate too. You're very laid back and you're bringing a lot to the table, and it showed with winning that big crown race this weekend.
Well, that's what he was telling me. I've never. He was there. He had a car issue, and he wasn't able to finish the race. And he goes, he was at the scales running. He was excited. I would never expect him to be so excited. I mean, he goes, man. He goes, that's awesome. He said, I've never. He says, I hate to watch these races. He says, but man, if I was one to watch one, he said, that was the one I wanted to watch. He said, because that was awesome. He said, you did everything you had to do to win that race. I said, yeah, but you give me something I could work with, so I don't know what to tell you. He said, I guess that's why it makes him feel so good. Because, I mean, pretty much he built my packages I'm in and was putting me out there to win races.
Yep.
Well, a lot of guys that we talk to, they either want to win at Eldora or they want to win at Knoxville. And you have done that. And that's one in the win column for sure, but that one I'm sure you'll hold close to your heart for a while.
Oh, yeah, it was one. Our team really needed one. It's been 5 years since I won one. I mean, I won Bates one. It was kind of a tire issue, it played in my part. This race here, I mean, there's a few. I feel like we've missed a few. Jonathan didn't get finished, and Scott. I wish they would have to see how it all worked out. But still, hey, I needed a win, and you never know. Got to take them as you get them, and that was. I felt like we worked hard for it, and I would never. Yeah, that's definitely a win that we all needed.
Well, let's get on a roll here, win like 3 or 4 in a row, because it's not like you haven't run good. You've been running good to be winning. So,
oh yeah,
good luck to you. We'll make sure we'll catch up with you, and I'll keep following you. And again, I'm excited. I was really, really happy for you to win out there.
Well, I appreciate you guys giving me this call and giving me this opportunity to talk to you guys.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Jared. We appreciate you being on the show today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love it. He's so excited, and you can just tell it.
I should have asked him about his dad, because his dad has put so much effort into their organization and building that. And this is something that, folks, they've been building this since last year. They went out on their own, and then they ended up teaming up with Scott. And it's like I've said all along, when I look at you take Rick Eckert, there's a lot of guys, their programs are working on. It doesn't happen overnight, or it doesn't happen in a month. It takes a little bit. So,
well, when you have people behind you like Scott Bloomquist and Mark Martin,
yeah.
I think you've got two of the best guys in the industry for sure. But speaking about Mark Martin and some asphalt racing, Ron Hornaday joins us next here on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Regan Smith joins us on the guest line. Congratulations.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday with Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Take us through what happened.
Alex is an extremely good road racer. He actually got in pretty deep into the carousel on that last lap, and I don't know if he got a little loose, but when he did, he got checked up, and it allowed me to get to the back bumper there. And once I got to the back bumper, I think the rest is pretty much history. Everybody saw what happened there, and we were able to come away with the win.
MRN Motorsports Monday, every Monday at noon at MRN.com.
Stay up to date with the latest news from the NASCAR Garage weekdays on NASCAR Today, midday.
A lot of things that are happening that I believe will definitely be better, but everybody's going to get better. This is a constantly evolving sport.
Hear from the drivers and teams as they chase the 2015 championship trophy.
I'm not looking back at all. I'm looking forward, and I'm focused on what we've got coming up.
NASCAR Today, midday on the Motor Racing Network, your source for the latest NASCAR news and information.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt. We're your hosts, Ashley and David Stremme. Now joining us is another asphalt driver who's getting back to his grassroots. He's teamed up with Diamond, and he's now calling it a Diamond by Hornaday. It is Ron Hornaday. Welcome to the show, Ron.
What's up, Stremme family? How are you?
Hey. So I think it's really cool. Back in the day, you had Victory Circle, which was an asphalt chassis company, and now you're back to your grassroots, but with a dirt chassis company.
Well, I kind of got pushed that way, kind of like David did. No, NASCAR didn't want us no more, so they threw us back to our grassroots of building dirt cars.
Well, it's something. I mean, it's been this weekend at Eldora. I've seen you 2 years ago. Guy was taking some silver bullets out of the cooler, and you're hanging out there, and you're like, got your grandson there who was running at Millbridge in a outlaw cart and stuff, or mini outlaw, and he's really took to the modifieds and building this program. Talk a little bit about him and what he's gone through and his progression.
I appreciate that. He started out on I think he was 4 years old, a little motocross, and one of his buddies got hurt, and we got one of them quarter midgets and ran up there by the Bonnie's track for about a year, and he just said those weren't fast enough. So he kind of got out of racing, went to football and baseball and all that stuff, and then Millbridge come along, and we put him in like a little car, and he said that wasn't fast enough. So the open class, I think about 3 months later, we got him a pretty big car. I guess he was running against a lot of guys I raced against. You name them, we've been racing, and he took to that and had fun. And we were sitting there, and it's like, what's the next level for this kid? And one of the guys said, you put him on them UMP modified, that he can control that on them 4 bars and everything. He's going to be a good little racer. So we hooked up with Ryan Thomas up there at Diamond, got him a car, and it all took off from there.
Ron, somebody like yourself who grew up with an asphalt background, it's what you've been doing up until the last couple of years. What made you steer your direction other than Slater being on dirt now? Why aren't you choosing to push him to the asphalt side of things? And, like Kenny Wallace, David, yourself, are going back to dirt racing?
Well, it's funny you should say that when Slater was first racing, I was telling him what he was doing wrong and all that stuff. And it took David actually to go down there and tell the kid to calm down and everything will come to him. But I tell him what to do, and he said, Pappy, you just drive asphalt, you just drive dirt. And I think last year we ran outdoor, and I finished second there in a truck. And he goes, oh, you know how to drive dirt. I'll start listening to you more often. So I'm listen to you. But no, it's back to the grassroots. I don't care what anybody says. It's fun. There's no drama. Other than the tweeting and everything going on in this stuff, I don't handle that very well. But there's no drama. You just go up there and have fun and do the best you can and have fun doing it. And, it's not too expensive, and some of these racetracks you can win some money at, some you can't, but it's experience for Slater for sure. We got Billy Workman driving my house car, and he's doing rather well, so we're having a blast doing it. It's back to grassroots racing.
What I love about it is, and we've talked about this on the show, where there's the old school, new school, and obviously you're very old school, and what I love about it is, I had seen some pictures. You had your grandson, welding. You have Billy working on the car and everything. It's not like they just show up and race. They're in there working with you and preparing these cars.
Well, that's how I grew up. My son started racing trucks, and he grew up through the racing career. And if I'm not going to work on his car unless he's there learning about it. So Slater cars will sit for a couple days until he says he wants to race. And when you want to race, start working on your car. So he's built his own pit box. He knows how to fabricate. When he does something stupid on the racetrack and wrecks his own car, he's got to straighten his own quarter panel. They're putting new ones on it. So everything's not given to him. Everybody really don't know my background. I'm a truck racer. I'm not $1 million cup racer to make all that money, so we had to work for everything we got. Still do. We're fortunate enough that we got a toter home from somebody, but that's just to get there easier. I mean, we took Slater to Lincoln last week in an open trailer and had a blast doing that. So I think we're going back to that grassroots, showing up with the old tire rack on the front and putting the dirt car on the back. I love that system. Problem is when you travel 8 hours, it makes it hard. So. But you're right. There is a lot in the grassroots, and one of the things I'd say about Slater and is when I've seen him at the track, he's like a sponge. He's absorbing so much. He's talking to all the guys, and I've said it before. I mean, he's only 13? Yep, just 13. Yeah,
it's amazing. You watch him in the car. I watch him out of Carolina, and it's really neat to see his progression. And I think a lot has to do with them little cars when he was running them, the mini outlaws, because Max McLaughlin's done the same thing. It's like those things they react so fast and do stuff, and he's done very well with his progression. What's some of the stuff coming up with him on his schedule?
Well, we're going to go to Eldora this weekend, so he couldn't run, so we ran him at Lincoln last week. It was pretty cool. He's only been there one other time, and we had a really, really bad setup. We were learning about these cars. And this time we got Billy set up under his car, and he really, really took to the track and qualifying. First one he kind of messed up. Second one he thought he was going to break the track record. And about 100 feet before the start-finish line. He climbed the wall and still qualified fourth. So we figured, well, the car's pretty fast. Let's go home and get an A-arm. So we had to drive all the way back home, put a lower A-arm, a steering arm, and a spindle on it, and he goes out there and runs top 5 or top 6. So just getting some experience for him. Every racetrack we go to, we've been to Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana. We've been to a lot of different tracks, just getting Slater some experience. And it's so funny. We go to a track called Dublin, and it's like 2.5 hours from us. And everybody says we're cherry picking, but I don't understand that. There's a race there, and it pays the most money, so why don't everybody show up there? I don't understand that.
Yeah. That whole area on that East Coast of North Carolina is weird. They got 2 tracks, they rival, they do. I'm like, why can't they all just figure it out? But it's a tough crowd over there, and it's a neat area, and there ain't nothing about cherry picking anywhere. You go race and there's cars there. That's what's there,
What I want to know is, I know you've been, testing cars at different tracks to try to help better the progress of the cars. When are we going to see Ron Hornaday behind an open wheel mod racing?
Well, I had a car as it was going to be my test car, but I kind of helped a little Sean Martin out, and I kind of gave him a heck of a deal on it. So I'm going to help little Sean Martin out. So he's another up-and-coming little kid, runs local around here.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my test car. I was hoping to have it ready for Eldora, but I'm going to give it to Sean and let him drive it. So I kicked Billy out of the seat one day at Dublin. He wasn't very happy about it. He thought I was kidding that I was going to drive the car. So it's definitely fun. I got my feet wet with Kenny Schrader. I got to run P-Wing with him and got to run that Eldora, in one of those bigger cars. So
yeah,
it's still fun. I mean, you'll see me back in it pretty soon. Just trying to find motors. Harvick gave me an old show truck, and I thought it was a pretty good motor. I said it all the baffle enough that we dynoed it, and it was just a show car motor. So darn, I thought I had me a motor.
Them motors will end up.
They'll make you go broke.
Yeah, I heard a couple, and I go, ooh, this is going to hurt for a little while. But it is a lot of fun, and that's the thing. You talk about traveling around. What do you think of some of the people? Is there a lot of when you look at, you talk about going to Kentucky and Illinois and so forth, does it remind you a lot of when you were there on the West Coast, running, whether you went to Arizona or Washington or anywhere?
It's unbelievable how the fans take to you. The promoters of the racetrack enjoy you being there. From us being out of town, they open their arms and let us stay the night so we can go to the next race. And they bring the water truck over so we can pressure wash our cars. Everybody goes out of their way to help these dirt people out. That's what's so cool. When the Truck Series first started, it was like a big happy family, and that's what I'm seeing in this dirt racing. Everybody. I've been spending a week and a half, 2 weeks right now just building bumpers and A-arms and body panels and everything to take for some of my customers up there in Eldora, just if they need something. So that's what's so fun about this thing, is just helping everybody out.
It's enjoyable again. I think you could agree to that.
Exactly.
Well, that's what it was. I caught the piece on Race Hub the other day where they had, for the 500th truck race, they had you and Sprague and Skinner and Bodine, and that's what, what drove me to the dirt is afterwards you can kind of hang out, have a beer with somebody, you can go somewhere and you meet up with them, and the asphalt's kind of lost some of that at your local racing. And when I seen you guys on the hub, I was like, man, it is a lot like, you were talking about popping a beer open, or like you said, Skinner drinks a little different beverage, but
they call him a wino now. He's not a drunk; he's just a wino.
But it is. You bring up a good point with that.
Yeah, are you going to Eldora?
Yes, we will. We just, as a matter of fact, as soon as I get done with this show, I gotta go finish putting the motor in. We just got our motor back, and we're gonna go up there.
I owe you at least a six-pack. I think I took all yours out of the cooler trying to learn about these race cars.
Hey, I was learning because you walked up and I'm beating body panels out and doing all this stuff, and people think, it's funny when you talk about, I know how hard you work, and you go to the racetrack and you work on your stuff, and it's funny you roll into some of these places and they're like, oh, hey, them guys, they got all the money, they can do this. Listen, I work on my cars, and it's funny because you walked up, and I'm beating the body panels out, and you're like, hey, you got any beer? I'm like, yeah, they're in the cooler. When I was all done working, I go, well, the beer's gone, but it was still a good time. And
I had a good time, yeah.
I'm happy. I'm just happy you're in dirt racing and enjoying yourself, and especially with your grandson, because he's doing a heck of a job there.
He is. Damn, that race at Dublin, he should have won, and the damn tie rod end broke. So, the little things you learn about dirt from asphalt, it's still about tightening nuts and bolts, but you can't overlook anything. These cars got to come apart. we like to race more often. But, we travel. We go up there and try to hit 4 or 5 races, and then come back and pull the car back apart, and then go back to 2 or 3 more races and pull the car back apart. So we try to work on our stuff. Every week we go. Billy has a new setup, or trying a different pull bar, or trying different shocks. We're trying to grasp on these things. I finally got my first car in the jig, built myself, and Billy's car pulled the bar out of it. So now the front hoop's cut back off of it, and I'm learning more about them. So each time we go to the track, we're learning something about them and changing different bars and different things to learn about these cars. And that's what's so cool about it. I can get my hands dirty again, and I'm in control of my destiny.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, we appreciate you being on the show, Ron, and we will see you in Eldora this weekend.
Thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys there, and make sure you go to bed by 2 o'clock at least.
We will.
No doubt.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, guys. Bye.
I love it. Every day you hear an asphalt driver come into dirt. This makes my heart smile.
It's funny because when Kenny Wallace was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we had talked about it. And,
that was last week.
Well, last week. And we had a guy call, and a late model guy, and he says, hey, when you guys were talking on the show and talking about how you can run around, and he looked at Kenny and myself, he's like, you guys can buy late models. I'm like, yeah, but I really don't want to spend the money. It's more of the time and doing stuff. And that's the same thing Ron sees. He can do it very affordable, travel around, as we heard, and get his hands and dirty and have some fun, and that's what all this racing is about. We meet different people. We can all go to the track, have fun, and enjoy it together. Well,
speaking of that, the next guy we have, he'll tell us a little bit about Falls, which is his hometown track. It is Michael Rigsby. He joins us next here on Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com. Need fantasy racing advice on picking your team for the upcoming Sprint Cup race? Motor Racing Network's fantasy experts are here to help you with the inside line.
I like the fiery Brad Keselowski, and here's why.
Join Tyler Burnett and Robbie Mays every Thursday on the Inside Line for in-depth analysis to give you a leg up on the competition.
I'm really curious to see if they can continue that dominance.
The Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, Thursdays in the Media Center at MRN.com. Join the Motor Racing Network this Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. Your host, Eli Gold, along with weekly guests, tackle the latest storylines with our NASCAR Live Fast Forum.
Oh, I totally disagree with Ricky on that. I think that
we've got your favorite drivers one-on-one.
I think everybody was more stressed out going into Phoenix just because you knew that...
It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network. This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Now back to Ashley and David Stremme.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt. We're the Stremmes, and you're listening to, Slingin Dirt on the hotline now. The man behind Dirt on Dirt, he lets you watch the races when you can't make it from the comfort of your couch. It is Michael Rigsby. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be on. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, we're excited to have you. I believe this month marks your 8-year anniversary of Dirt on Dirt?
That's correct. This is actually the 9th racing season we covered, but it is 8 years ago. We launched in September of 2007. It feels like a year and a half, maybe. It's hard to believe that it's been 8 years already. So it's flown by. I can say that for sure.
I can't believe it's been that long because when I think about it, I was like, it's just been a few
year
years
and a half ago.
Yeah, but what made you start all this?
We I've grown up, as you guys mentioned just before the break. I'm sure we're going to talk about Falls a little bit. I grew up around Fairbury Farmer City, kind of in that hotbed late model pocket of Illinois, and always grew up going to the races. My family and I traveled Eldora, Dixie, West Virginia Motor Speedway, West Plains, Knoxville. We traveled all over the United States growing up. And when I got into college, I got a broadcast journalism degree. And I went and worked at NBC for a while up in Madison, Milwaukee area and up in Wisconsin, but always kept my late model roots. Loved going to late model races, was always there. I was covering the Badgers and the Packers and the Brewers and stuff up there in Wisconsin, but I'd still go to these late model races and see that there was literally not literally none, but virtually no media coverage at any of these places. And Todd Turner, who was our chief editor now, is our first employee and really kind of started this company with me. Him and I said, we need to create this all-encompassing media outlet for late model racing, for lack of a better term, an ESPN for dirt late model racing. And that's what we started 8 years ago. We all left our jobs. My wife and I started the company. We pushed all of our chips into the middle of the table, and the rest is history. 8 years later, I guess you'd say.
That's absolutely awesome. I mean, I don't know if you could have pictured it back then, envisioning it growing as much as it has. I want you to talk about what it takes to make a pay-per-view happen, because those of us sometimes watching, whether it's you or anybody else that does pay-per-view for dirt racing, sometimes we get a little irritated because the feed cuts out or something like that. But I don't think the viewers understand what it really takes to make what you do happen.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And just know, when you get frustrated when the speed cuts out, there's a reason I have less hair now than I used to. I am equally frustrated as you, if not more frustrated than you, the end viewer. It is, and keep in mind, we do a lot more than pay-per-view. We have a ton of on-demand coverage and stuff, which really drives the website. But when it comes to those live pay-per-view events, we have a staff of 7 or 8 people there, multiple cameramen, producers, the internet connection, graphics people, instant replay people. It is, in essence, a full, all-encompassed production. And as I always say with the live internet productions, you're really at the mercy of the internet. We just upgraded all of our stuff to brand new, really sparkling HD stuff. But you can do all that stuff, and you can have the coolest camera angles. You can have all that stuff in the world, but somewhere out there in the universe, the internet does not want to cooperate with you. There's really sometimes nothing you can do about it, despite all the backups and backups on the backups that you have. So it's stressful. It's not for everybody, that's for sure, to sit there and have to monitor that stuff all night. And our percentage, we've had a very high percentage. We rarely have failures, but it can happen, Ashley. And it's you literally just want to crawl into a rock when it happens sometimes, because I know how frustrated the end users are and stuff like that. But usually racing fans are pretty cool. Well, and racing fans are good people, so they usually understand.
The one thing is with technology getting better, and I mean, we've seen it because obviously you go to Fairbury's out in the middle of nowhere, and you get great coverage from there. But it's funny because I've always felt, when I started following more dirt racing and getting involved, 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, man, this is awesome. I can go on the internet, I can watch races and do stuff. And Bob Dillner and I, which Bob, we were sitting in Dover, and I'm like, Bob, man, the asphalt's got to get. I said, the dirt is on top of this. I love it because I can click on the internet, especially with technology. I can watch it right on my TV. Everything else, I can control the commercials, and it's funny because he's brought up his program, and I know he's talked to you a lot and get advice, but the dirt market, and I think you kind of set the standard of where things are at, and it's funny because for the folks that don't watch it a lot, I think the quality and everything that you guys do is really excellent. I won't say the name. I watched another one this past weekend, and it was not very good. It's almost like going back 6 years. He didn't have shiny
HD equipment.
Yeah, but it is a headache. And what do you see the future? I'd like to see an app where I just click on and I can go, okay, hey, I'm going to pick down, and boom, I can watch a race. What do you see forthcoming of some of the technology that's in the future?
Well, it's only going to get better. I mean, there's no doubt that we're headed in the right direction, and all of us. And there are some great companies out there that do this. I mean, Bob being one of them, Speed 51, they're a great partner of ours. And anytime an asphalt promoter comes to me and says, hey, I know you do pay-per-views. I want to get involved with you, I send them right to Bob. And Bob does the same thing with me in the dirt world. We really work together on stuff. The thing is, at the end of the day, you and David and Ashley and I, we love dirt track racing. We breathe it. We live it. We eat it. But, our niche in the national scene, we're still small. And I think you guys know that. We're not a huge demand for audience. So there's not we can do good with the dirt track level stuff, but will a major corporate sponsor want to come down and lay down that money on an app or something like that for something that is more of a niche sport? I don't know about that. The technology will continue to get better. But as far as, this all-encompassing thing that I think you and I both want, I'm not sure we'll ever quite get to that level. But I don't know. 8 years ago, I didn't think we'd get to this level.
Hey, I think there's a way.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you, I disagree with you, because I think that you can touch, when you look at just in the human things that as humans we're going through, we want stuff faster. We don't want – I hate watching commercials. I hate it. I want stuff where I can still go out and do things, but I can keep up with – I mean, you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, everything else. I can keep up on Twitter, at races, but I want to be able to watch stuff and go forth. And with that being said, how do you fight, with say your coverage of and obviously it's way better than, say, Periscope, but somebody starts Periscoping or some of these people are starting to broadcast a little bit through other ways. When you're there and you and the track have had a deal, how are you working through all this?
That's an excellent question. First of all, I hope you're right about the other thing. I hope 5 years from now I can say, man, that David Stremme nailed it. He was totally right. I hope we can have that conversation. But
I'm ready to tell you my plan because I think it can work.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
All right. Well, we'll discuss that for sure. But, when it comes to Periscope, that's something that me and Bob Dillner and, Trenton Berry at Racing Dirt and all these other people, Scott Traylor at Racing Boys, we all sort of have an eye on right now is how is that going to play out. So far, 1 out of every 50 Periscopes is good enough quality for me to be concerned about at this point currently in 2015. Listen, I have Periscope too, and there's sometimes where I'll watch it and I'll go, ooh, that's rough quality.
Yep.
There's no announcer sound. It's really far away. You can't really tell what the cars are doing on the racetrack. Not to mention the fact I have a buddy that was Periscoping races and got a cell phone bill and went, holy cow, I have $480 worth of data because I was Periscoping races. So, at this point, it is a little bit of a wait-and-see approach. Right now, I talked to all the tracks we work with, from Eldora to Knoxville to I-80 to Fairbury to anywhere else, and nobody's really concerned about it just yet. But, 2016, 2017, it's going to be a case-by-case thing where we have to keep an eye on it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think one of the things, and you hit it, when you go to places that, like I was out at Boone Nationals, I'm like, man, I ain't got very good service here. But I went to 141 Speedway up in Wisconsin, and I did a little bit through my personal Twitter and stuff, and basically the people who follow me followed it, and I just commentated myself. But you're no way going to get the enhancement that you guys bring to the table and commentating in the inside of what's going on. But it like you said, it's something I just kind of wanted your opinion on the future of things and looking at stuff.
It is. It's something that I think we're all all of us that do online live streaming are putting it in let's see what 2016 brings. I don't think imminently in 2016 or even 17 right away it's going to be a huge problem, but there's no doubt 5 years from now, the technology is going to be better and better. The data rates are going to come down. You may see somebody up in the stand setting up a tripod with their phone to Periscope that live for free. And at that point, we've already discussed it with the tracks. The tracks are probably going to step in at that point and say, hey, man, we love that you're here, but we're doing a live broadcast. We're going to have to – you can't do this. It's not to that point yet, but I can see it very well coming to that point 2 or 3 years from now.
I think it would be really hard to police, but I'm sure it could be done. Talking about that, the tracks that you work with obviously embrace you. Tell me what it's like when you come to a track who hasn't embraced the pay-per-view and they think that it's hindering people coming to the racetrack to physically watch the race instead of watching it at home.
Well, keep in mind, we've got a couple different models that we have for our – and Dirt on Dirt started with no actual live broadcasting. We still – the thing that really kind of drives our website, like I said, is the on-demand stuff. Like, for instance, there'll be 5 races across the United States this weekend that we'll have video guys at. Those video guys will record the races, cut highlights, do interviews, put that down and package that. It won't be live, but you'll be able to access it because there is such a thing as too much live broadcasting, too. You can oversaturate the market really fast if you're doing it every single weekend. So – our on-demand stuff is one, and we've never, ever had a problem with the racetrack just because every single time, the racetracks, they're starved for media attention. I've been in a press box where a promoter is calling that local newspaper affiliate or the local NBC station and begging them, please come out here and cover us. And you look over, and here's Dirt on Dirt, who just drove 13 hours to get there to come cover their race. So they love that on one aspect. But otherwise, Ashley, like you said, when we're doing a live event, everything is so predetermined with the racetrack. We sit down with them and have meetings and discuss it with them. So we've yet to go to a racetrack that isn't sort of welcoming us with open arms because we're a little bit choosier about where we go. The World 100, the Dream at Eldora, work with Roger Slack, who we love, work with Knoxville, work with Volusia, work with I-80, work with places like that. So, we're just not going to roll into a place and unload the equipment and go, hey, Joe Promoter, we're doing a live show today. We would never have a situation like that. But they do exist out there. There are places that think for sure that, we keep people away or we can keep people away if we do a live event, so they choose not to do one with us. So there are old school promoters, and you kind of just have to let them be old school until they kind of come around on the idea.
Well, I know one of the things when I look at and I learned through Bob, they did the North Carolina Modified Nationals, and they did a blackout area. And I thought,
Right.
well, that's pretty cool because then if you do want to go there and watch. But it's like this weekend I watched a race, and it was 18 hours away. There's no way I'm going to make it, but I could enjoy watching it. And especially I like it, and you can control more of what's going on through yourself, through watching it, instead of sitting there, well, I got to watch this commercial, or I'm going to TiVo it, so then I can go and speed through stuff. It is part of the whole program. But what do you think with some of the tracks, are the lighting, is it some of the stuff they're having to get better on?
Yeah, you actually heard my response. There are places even, it's sort of like you said, you're not going to name names earlier, that you go, and it is just like a fantastic, oh, God, this place is going to race so good, et cetera, and then you go, and it's just the lighting is so bad that it's just hard to see the cars in turn 3. And it doesn't matter as much for an online broadcast as it would if MAV TV or somebody was going to come in and film it. The online stream, because in essence, when you're streaming something, the quality will be less because you're basically taking a huge piece of information and shoving it through a tiny tube is what you're doing. You're trying to get it out to end users. So it's not as bad, but yeah, it's a problem. I mean, I think you would agree, David. You've raced at so many of these facilities all over the Midwest, all over the South. Facility, industry-wide, a little TLC would go a long way at a lot I places. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I just mean that in a factual way. It's been that way for 40 years,
Oh, it has.
So,
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I say. Every place, I love it when I go back and they're still doing a little something. I don't care if it's just putting paint up and cutting weeds down and doing stuff.
That's right.
It's great.
My,
But hey,
my uncle who worked at a racetrack forever always said the two biggest things that a racetrack can do are paint and a lawnmower. If you got paint, you got a lawnmower, you can really make your place look a lot better than it actually is.
There's a lot of truth to that. Hey, I want to sincerely, I just want to thank you for what you've done for the auto racing, short tracks, everything else, because there's a lot that I think it brings a lot of life into it. And again, I want to thank you very much, and we'll have you back on the show. I appreciate it.
And I want to say, if we put you on the spot with anything, I apologize, but you're great at it, and it's what you're doing is phenomenal, and I see another 8 years, if not more, in your future.
Probably more.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I appreciate that a lot. And I honestly, I listen to every single one of your guys' show. And I'll just openly admit it right now to the listeners out there. I solicited to get on this show. I'm going to be that guy that admits that I wanted to come on and talk to
Well,
you
after
guys.
I seen all the fat heads at Fairbury, I'm like, we got to get this guy on. This is awesome here.
Well, we breathe dirt track racing. And if Fairbury's home for me, it just really quickly falls. I think,
Absolutely.
It's a special place up there. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. We appreciate you being on today, and we'll have you on again.
That sounds great, guys. Anytime you want to talk late model racing, let me know. I'd love to talk about it.
You got
Thanks
it.
a lot. We really appreciate what you're doing, too.
Thanks, Michael.
Hey, another guy
Yeah.
that's done a lot for short track racing, and MRN's going to cover it tomorrow at the press conference.
Yes,
with
Tony Stewart at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock.
Make sure you turn it on.
It's something that it's going to be interesting, but I think a lot of what
Upcoming races. UMP Mod Nats at Eldora. Lucas is at Dixie and Rome. The Clash is at Fayetteville. AMS is at Eldora. Mars is at Caney Valley. Wing Nation up next with our friends Steve and Kendra. Thanks for joining us. You can follow along on Twitter at Slingin Dirt. And later today, you can find Slingin Dirt in the Media Center at MRN.com, on iTunes, and Race Day Nation on the iHeartRadio app.
Or come by and help put motor in the car.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
This has been Slingin Dirt with Ashley and David Stremme. Listen every Tuesday at 11 Eastern on MRN.com for more news, interviews, and opinion from dirt tracks all over America. Slingin Dirt is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.